Hello and welcome to Business Unusual. This is where we discuss and ask ourselves questions of how to operate in this new terrain that we have found ourselves in. And we've been talking about the pandemic season, otherwise known as the COVID-19 season. This is a season that has redefined a lot of things, a lot of the way we work, a lot of the way we live, a lot of the way we behave. It has totally redefined. We are saying that in the world, they're looking at it as COVID-19 season. But in God, it is a season of shaking the heavens and the earth. And everything that can be shaken is being shaken. We've been talking about the era of humanity, that even though we've seen that we have entered a place where machines are almost taking over, there's a season, there's an era called the era of humanity. There are things that machines cannot take over.
Yes,
and this is what we've been talking about. There are things we have seen before, and if you've not watched, please go back and watch so that you understand, because this is a continuation. Now today, we will start looking at social or emotional intelligence.
A new term coming into the earth. You see, we grew up and we're all taught about IQ. Globally, IQ is becoming a very ambiguous term because IQ was actually a very unfair way to measure people's intelligence. Because IQ meant that there's a set parameter of things by which you're measured. They quickly discovered that that is not applicable because of people's different geographical environments, upbringing, and so on. For example, if you took a young man from the savannah or the Masai Mara in Kenya, and he's a Maasai, and you take him into New York, you'll say he doesn't have a high IQ. But if you take a businessman in New York and place him in the Masai Mara with this fellow, this fellow will tell you he doesn't have an IQ.
And that is where we are coming to a place of EQ.
Yes.
Which balances that,
balances
no matter
everything.
Where you are.
Yes. EQ is a kingdom position that makes you function anywhere. Now the world think it's simply what they call social or emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means this, on a basic level. Artificial intelligence looks at numbers. It says we don't need 10 cashiers. We can remove them to become more efficient because the work of artificial intelligence is to become more and more efficient and remove every weight. Emotional intelligence says what is the impact of that removal, and how can we upscale them, not get rid of them?
So when you're talking about EQ, you're talking about the ability to understand and to manage your own emotions. Talking to an individual. How to manage your own emotions.
Exactly. So if you're thinking, listen, I'm sitting in a place where I know because now this has come, that has come, I'm being replaced. Now emotional intelligence tells you, how do I upgrade my life so that I'm more useful where I am, or my usefulness will be needed elsewhere. So this is becoming important. This is becoming so important that companies are beginning to pull this in because they discovered that routine and the bottom line being money has actually impacted on productivity.
Negatively.
Now,
and people, of course, on people's lives also.
Now let's give a current example. When IQ was all that was needed, when people worked in the office, it was how sharp they were, what time they arrived, how well they fitted into routines. And there's a level of productivity the company got. In fact, you got in trouble for being late to work and leaving too early.
Not productivity.
Exactly. The measurement was not productivity, and nobody could tell how quick you are at maneuvering or adjusting or fixing the situation. So in your own thinking, you only came into clock time. So you never ever reached into your emotional intelligence.
So when you talk about, we've mentioned this before, talking about creativity and all those things. You cannot have creativity by just walking into an office in the morning, leaving at 5, and nobody's measuring your activities versus your productivity.
Now emotional intelligence is different. It is where you solve problems, not run through things. So emotional intelligence requires you sitting, adjusting, looking around and asking, is there a better way to do this? And even if there is, how will it impact on people?
We have seen that in this season when people are working from home, solving problems from the house. You are in your house, you're taking care of what is happening around you, but at the same time, you're solving problems out there. People have become, companies have realized it's actually, there's more productivity.
Productivity has gone up. Why? Because you're close to your family, you're emotionally balanced. you're more creative.
Yes.
You're more productive. You're with your children, you're with your spouse. Because of that balance, you used to go away and that used to be drained and that used to affect your creativity and your capacity to produce.
I think the people who can attest this more are the
Yes.
hospitals.
Absolutely.
They can tell you
They're empty.
they're not busy. This tells you the impact. When
Yes.
you talk about EQ, we're talking about the impact it has had. Negative impact.
Yes.
When people are stressed.
Yes.
When people are not able to control their own emotions.
Absolutely.
Because of the demands of work, demands of output.
It's interesting, you needed sick leave from work, but you don't need sick leave from home.
Actually, for now, if you tell any company that I'm not feeling unwell, they tell you, my friend, you're working from home, you're able to relax, you're able to do 1, 2, 3 things.
Yes.
You don't have to go to hospital.
And when you used to take sick leave, where
Yes.
did they send you?
Home.
That tells you something
Not
right
to
there.
hospital.
That tells you something right there.
Yeah.
So this is going to become so crucial. Companies are now going to hire you not just on your IQ,
Yes.
but also on your EQ.
EQ.
How well do you work with people? Think about working from home now. If you don't have a good relationship with the rest of the team,
Yes.
you don't get things done because they are no longer under a room where they must obey you. They're now in a place where they need to trust you.
Yes.
An entirely different way of working.
Actually, listen to that. When
Yes.
you're talking about now, you have a team.
Yes.
And this team also doesn't have to be in your neighborhood.
Exactly.
You don't have to be in the office.
That's it.
These guys can be anywhere in the world, but
Exactly.
you're a team.
That's it.
Now, this is not where they talk about how much well you work. It's
Yeah.
how much they trust you.
Exactly.
As a boss.
We are moving to trust now.
Yes.
We are moving to ownership. We are moving to caring about how people operate.
Yes.
I know companies that the people are working from home
Yes.
that have gone out of their way to make them comfortable at home.
Yes.
Paid for their internet, given them better machines, given them what has happened. You've now realized they need to be comfortable to work. That is emotional intelligence.
So that's what you are saying, that this is a
Yes.
season that has redefined just everything.
Yes.
Things that we have always known to be normal. Coming
Yep.
to a place where now we ask ourselves, who needs to tell us what season we are in
Yes.
and what we need to do.
Absolutely.
The Issachar dimension, especially talking about the church.
Absolutely.
Talking about the body of Christ.
Yes. And you know the funny thing, emotional intelligence can only be found in the Bible.
Oh, yes.
It's only the Bible that deals with this. In fact, there are about 22 proverbs, which if somebody grasped,
Yes.
would cover this concept.
That's interesting, because when you tell us 22 proverbs, everybody would want to know, can I know these
We are going to
proverbs?
have them posted in
Yeah.
one of the recordings so people can get the transcript. We've kind of zeroed down to 22.
Yeah.
If you follow those proverbs, they will help you adjust your EQ. That means the Bible is the new manual for effectivity.
It is, because I was going to say
Yes.
that if you look at now, what we need, we all know about the Issachar tribe
Yes.
in the Bible,
Yes.
one of the sons of Jacob.
Yeah.
And one of the things they knew is that they understood the times and the seasons,
Yes.
and they knew what Israel ought to do. Now, what we're
Exactly.
looking for is a people with the Issachar dimension.
Yeah.
A people who can tell us, this is a season you're in, and this is what you ought to do.
Absolutely.
The other 11 tribes,
Yes.
they all looked at them
Absolutely.
and to them
Yes.
for them to get direction of how to operate in the earth.
So, really, if
Yeah.
we're saying the focus here is knowing what
to do.
in this terrain we are painting, in this new environment, it is important to know
What to do.
what
Actually, that's the
to
question
do.
everywhere. What do we do?
Yes.
How do we move on?
Now, one of the first things so far we've covered into the series, we need to deal first with what not to do.
It's important. Routine.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Yes,
So if you're
what
talking
not to
about
do.
what to do,
So-
no one thing you should
Yeah.
not do.
So,
Routine.
obviously,
Yes.
working like a robot, you'll be replaced. You cannot compete with a robot. There's no future in it.
Yes.
You can't compete with something more efficient than you, that doesn't get tired,
Yes.
that doesn't need to sleep, that doesn't, and can do what you do. That automatically means you must do what a robot cannot do. First thing to think about.
So you're saying,
Yes.
working like a robot,
Yes.
you will be
Replaced.
replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now here's the issue. The future we are entering into, unfortunately, our school system, our colleges, our universities have a history of training robots.
So when you talk about graduation, we can see
How do I know we're
list
training
of
robots?
60,000 robots out there.
How do you know we're training robots?
Explain.
Our greatest excelling is repeating what was taught. That's a robot.
So when you come to schools, and more so talking about this, maybe from our perspective, our understanding in Kenya, anyone can identify with this, that you're very good at cramming for exams.
Yes.
Now that's what you're saying, that if I cram, if I follow, just repeat what you taught me, when I go out there, I'll not be able to know how to apply that which you taught me.
Exactly.
Because the interest was not how to act out there, it is to pass exams.
How to pass the exam.
Once I pass the exam, I'm like, okay, wait, what was that about? How do I apply the knowledge that I have? And that's what you're calling a robot mentality.
So imagine, I'm keeping you in university for 4 years.
Yes.
2 years is information. That information is on a database. See, that was important when the books were only in the university.
Okay.
That was important when you couldn't find it anywhere else. Now the guy sitting at home can go online and read your book and finish it. So while you're sitting in class, he has finished the book. You're waiting to do chapter 4 next week.
He's already done it.
Something has changed.
Okay.
All right? We're also reaching a place where I don't need all the information. I just need the one that I will use. So when I need it, I will Google it or I will search a database. I won't search the whole book. I'll search that part that I need. Why?
Moment,
because I need it to apply somewhere. I don't need it to know.
So right now you're talking about being effective.
Yes.
Not just collecting information. How effective are you?
Yes.
How effective are you out there?
Yeah. So
bringing solutions.
So how do we move forward? We must first accept that we must accept the inevitable. You know how we pushed school. Remember earlier in another recording, we spoke about you were pushed to be a pilot. See, depending on which country you lived in, you were given the hierarchy of education. If you're very sharp, you'll be a pilot. If you're so, there's all this hierarchy. Suddenly, you can be all that and be of no value.
Yes, like really you're obsolete.
Now there's a problem.
You're not needed now. And maybe right now, maybe what you need to ask yourself, how do we respond on a personal level to all this? How do we respond?
First of all, accept the inevitable.
Okay.
Accept, sit down and have the guts to say, what I am studying, is it useful? Because the best you will get is a certificate or a diploma or a degree. And like I like saying, 1 degree out of 360 is a very small figure. Where there are 360 degrees and you're happy that you have 1 degree, it's not going to take you anywhere. The issue is what the degree can do. And that is why things are changing. People are more interested in skills, not in qualifications.
Actually, organization now, when you go for an interview, it's not how many papers you can bring to us.
Exactly.
It's what you can do.
What can you do?
A time is coming now when you go HR. They tell you now, listen, I want to see this done. Yes, you can have all these papers. And it's important to have the papers. But a time is coming when they'll tell you, no, we need your skill.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can have papers, but no skills. The papers define what you did.
Exactly.
Because we started by saying cramming is there.
Yes.
So you could have been a very good
crammer, never a doer.
Yes.
In other words,
they're looking for doers.
In other words, you are a well-trained robot. You can give back data whenever it is asked for. But if you're given a situation, you are stuck. I usually say it's the same thing, like take 2 pictures of people. Take the person who learned how to read music and take the musician. Those are 2 different people.
We are looking for musicians. We're looking for people who can play. We are looking for that one who can produce the sound.
Exactly.
Not that one who can tell us that this sound and this put together. We don't want the information.
Thank you.
We want the result.
This is the problem.
Wow.
Because the guy who reads music, if you don't give him a music sheet and you give him a piano, he can't play.
So he has everything he needs.
Yes.
But he doesn't have the creativity.
Exactly.
The imagination.
Yes. And if you tell him at random, play for me this.
Yes.
He's stuck. But the guy who did not read that, who simply said, what did you say, play? Please hum it. He hears, he plays. That's what we're talking about.
Isaac dimension.
Yes.
Understanding the times we are in, what we ought to do.
Exactly.
Let's talk about observing and understanding.
Yes.
The ability to observe and understand.
Exactly. Where we are going is a matter of relevance, not a matter of knowledge. Okay? They understood what people need to do. They did not tell them how sharp they should be. They told them, listen, if this is the situation, in other words, let me give an example.
Okay.
Globally, we spoke about the gap, the removal between the middleman. And one of the biggest businesses that was developed in most African countries, like in Kenya, that did not exist 5 years ago, is the courier, the motorcycle courier.
Yes.
Never existed. We didn't even know what that was. Today, in the COVID season, how do you operate without it?
I think we all have a number. or
Exactly.
2 on our phone book.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, imagine wasting your time explaining the dynamics to that guy. You know what you do? You are part of the 4th Industrial. In fact, you are a courier service.
We talked about you.
You have removed intermediation. He doesn't care with the terms. You go study them.
Yes.
Him is doing them. You get the difference?
Observe,
he doesn't need to go
understand.
into all the explanations.
Yes.
Listen, he's using an app. He doesn't understand the technology at all. He just knows. When you call me, I have a map. The map takes me to you. Now tell him, do you know how many algorithms were put into that map?
He tells you, I don't care. What I know is that this thing is working for me.
Simple.
This is my life.
That's what is called understanding, observation, and meeting a need. There are so many people walking in what we are saying who have no clue what it is called.
So the difference between the person who is doing it
Yes.
and we who are defining, where do we come in? For example, now,
Yes.
I can be listening and say, okay, fine, you're telling me all these big words.
Yes.
Where do you come in? You are the
Exactly.
one who sets the parameters here.
Yes.
Once you set the parameter, there's somebody who is running with it.
Simple.
Now, intelligence demands that, yes, we are talking about the things that need to be done.
Yes.
Stop rehearsing them.
Absolutely.
Do them.
I remember
Do them.
years ago,
Yeah.
and maybe I see things differently, but I remember years ago there was a major reaction by lecturers, university lecturers in this country. They were striking, they were complaining about their pay. And the statement was this: we have been professors. We have trained that CEO and that minister and that thing and that person. Therefore, we should be paid better. Look at the people we've trained. And my reaction was, stop training. Go do what they're
Go
doing.
and do.
And you'll be paid better.
We are in a season of we need to
Simple.
do that which we know. And of course,
Yeah.
we're talking about the Issachar dimension,
Yes.
understanding
Yeah.
the season,
Yes.
the times,
Yes.
and what we ought to do. Now,
Yes.
this, we need to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
can you reach a place where you start asking yourself, what if?
What if? That's
What
such
if?
a powerful question.
Yeah?
Okay, let's ask it this way to bring it home. Pastor, what if church never reopens? That's a what if. How would you operate and function?
What if
did,
schools
yeah,
never
so did
reopen?
God call you as a pastor or as a pastor of a church? You have to query again.
What if? That's a question
Yes.
that this season demands that
Yes.
all of us have to ask ourselves. We've been thinking that we are waiting for the curfew, we are
Yes.
waiting for the lockdown,
Yes.
we are waiting for this season to end,
To
we go
end.
back to
We are
what
not
we
going
were.
back.
What if? What if we never went back
Ever,
to
ever.
what we knew
Yes.
life to be?
What if you went back to church and your members never came? What if? Start thinking like Noah. What if it never rains again? What if there's never a flood? What
look
if
at
school
this.
never opens?
This is a question that we ask across.
Yes.
Because the same way we talked about a pilot before.
Yes.
What if the airline industry
Never
does
reopens.
not go back to what we used
Thank
to know?
you.
What if the hospital? What about schools?
Yes.
What about agriculture? Look
Yes.
at how many things we are talking about and saying that this is a season where you must ask yourself, what if?
Yes.
What if it
they
never went
never
back?
reopen the market?
Powerful
What if?
question.
Yeah. Listen, even if government wants to subsidize, what if it doesn't change? They'll get tired. They won't have enough resources.
This is a question. And this leads
What
us
if?
to the next level where you're talking about you must unlearn.
And relearn.
And relearn.
That is Noah again. If you had met Noah, what is his experience?
Building the ark.
How many years?
His lifetime.
Nobody in his
His
class.
lifetime.
He's the best. He had to unlearn that and relearn a new skill, plant a vineyard.
Look at that. Building an ark versus
Yes.
becoming a farmer.
Completely
Please tell me
different
the
worlds.
correlation. Nothing. Meaning, we are saying you're in a season where you might never do what you used to do before.
Ever.
So we are not saying you ask yourself, what if, and then you start seeing, how do I do the thing I know
In this season.
in another way?
It's
it might not be relevant.
So this what if is not the what if of a typewriter salesman saying, what if shops reopen, how will I sell typewriters? You won't. The
You
what
won't.
if is much deeper than that.
It is serious.
Yes.
Because this, when you ask yourself what if, it just redefines you. It tells you you might totally go into another
Exactly.
a place you never
Yes.
thought you'd ever
Yes.
be. I mean, Noah could not have thought when he was putting that ark together
Yes.
that one day he'll be a farmer.
Absolutely.
He never thought of that.
So in your COVID stage, and I'll give another term to it now, in your cocoon stage like the caterpillar, what are you emerging as? What are you doing? What new skills are you learning? You thought school was over? School has just begun.
Just started.
What are you learning?
Wow.
What new things are you improving on? All the things we've talked about, are you augmenting? Are you upgrading? Because listen, there are jobs that will never come back. But who said you are a job?
The job will never come back.
Yes.
You remain.
Yes.
Because when you talk about the caterpillar,
Absolutely.
before it goes to that stage of the cocoon,
Yes.
this is a caterpillar. It knows that this is how I operate.
Yep.
On the ground, looking down,
Yes.
always eating.
Absolutely.
That's a caterpillar.
That's it.
Now, look at it when it emerges on the post-COVID.
Yes.
It's a butterfly.
Absolutely.
Now, look at the butterfly and the caterpillar and
Yes.
try to understand how, okay, wait. How?
Yes.
How? Explain. You know?
Why this is important is for us to ask the what if. It is so important because when a season changes like this, the highest technology of the last season becomes the antique of the new season.
Yeah, please say that again. We need to hear that because some of our jobs are becoming antique.
Exactly. We'll only refer to them in terms of history, not for any use.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. How many things, when you go to the museum, we normally say we're looking at what? Antiques.
Yes.
No, you're looking at the most advanced technology of its time.
Maybe your thing is just about to find its way to the Museum of Kenya. So,
Absolutely.
you know,
If you don't think that way, you are going to be living in history in time. And that's a dangerous way to live.
oh yes.
You are 200 years ago now. You're like an alien who traveled to the future and was
And
shocked.
everybody is looking at you and wondering,
Who are
who
you?
needs this? Who needs this?
Yes, who are
I
you?
think it's important to ask ourselves, what am I doing? And that question is so key that we all go back to ourselves and ask that simple question.
Yes.
What if?
Yes.
What were you doing before?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID.
And-
And we must admit that when Noah came out of the ark,
Yes.
anything he knew, remember there was a flood.
Yes.
And that flood covered everything, took
Yes.
away everything. So when he came out, he stood there and he's looking and asking himself, okay,
Yes.
where am I going? What am I going to do? And like you're saying,
Yes.
him thinking of becoming a farmer
Yes.
was not a good idea.
Absolutely.
It's an idea from God,
Yes.
meaning we have to hear God.
Absolutely.
Because God spoke and he heard something different.
Listen, and why I said the highest of the old becomes the antique of the new
Of the now,
is
yes.
because I know right now there's this new focus globally. Learn STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? All those are robotic activities.
It can be replaced anytime.
Everything there can be done by a machine. It can calculate faster than you.
Oh, yes.
It can operate faster than you, and it is learning daily. So think about how you will manage the machine that does that. Even coding, machine can write programs. So think carefully.
Let me give an example
Yes.
that will tell you what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right? When you talk of our studio right now,
Yes.
and I remember you wanted to buy the green screen
Yes.
cloth.
Yes,
All right?
yes.
And you're thinking, how do I tell this person what color I want?
Absolutely.
You just went to Google
Yeah.
and just said the green screen. I actually gave you the color.
It gave me the color, and I sent him the graphics for that color.
Yeah.
And he got me the right color.
Now, can you imagine you say, no, I'm looking for a guy who can match for me these colors and
Yes.
tell me what this is.
First come to
Replaced.
yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Replaced. That
And
is
the guy
done.
who I asked for green screen doesn't know what that is. All he knows is colors.
He just knows, give me these colors. When I mix them, when the colors came out, it was like, oh, this is what you meant, you know?
That's it.
So when you talk about what are you doing, can
Yes.
it be replaced? That's
Yes.
a serious question.
Yes.
Because if you don't answer that question, you could have been replaced already.
And you don't even know it.
You're not aware.
You're running on momentum, not on fuel.
Post-COVID, you will wonder what happened to your
Now,
client.
listen to this. There's
Yeah.
one issue I think is crucial to deal with. I want to talk to the girl child. It's deliberate why I'm using that term. Too many of the girl childs are being taught how to compete with men. Problem. Anything a man can do,
You can do better.
a woman can do better. Listen, that man is antique. Stop competing with him. Find your own creative space that is not in comparison or in competition with anyone.
That is you. And you're telling yourself
Yes.
there is creativity
Yes.
that you can look. Actually, right now, the girl child, you're being confused by being told, instead of you looking at the future, you're
Yes.
looking at the men.
Exactly.
And then you're trying to see what they did. For you to
Yes.
do what a man can do, the man started it. It's actually antique.
That's not creative.
That means you're not creative. You're a copy. You're always copying.
knew when he created us male and female. There are some things so unique to who a woman is in this new environment.
Yes.
You could be the number one in emotional intelligence. You're busy trying to be like a man.
Like you.
You're missing the whole point.
Yes. Comparing yourself with the man.
And let me tell you how serious that is.
Yeah.
Did you know that all the countries that have dealt with COVID are led by women? Go and do your homework.
Yeah.
Their presidents are women. Why is that intelligent? Because women think about life, men think about economy.
Talk of emotional intelligence.
So they made immediate decisions to preserve life. Their instinct, remember intuition, stepped in and they said, I don't care how much business we lose as long as we preserve life. Male-dominated societies, the economy is crashing.
Let's go back to business. We don't care how many people are dying. Look at that. And when we talk about coming to a place of understanding who you are, the season we are in, and what you ought to do, notice how we don't look externally, we go internally. We want God to give us ideas. I don't want what men have done.
No.
I don't want what somebody else has said. I want to come to a place of saying, God, there must be something that I need to be exhibiting in this season that has never been seen before.
Exactly.
A new terrain.
Exactly.
Can you imagine Noah trying to look at the past to come up with solutions? And God tells him, my friend, it's done.
Yes.
It's done.
Imagine a world where you have the male intellectual hardcore thinking that says, let's build the most efficient, most powerful machine, where a woman says, but make sure it helps people. Look at the combination.
Look at that.
You create something so genius.
But if they are competing?
There you go. You've got two opposite systems that will never produce what God intended.
So we are talking about the Issachar dimension.
Yes.
You will hear this now, because when you come from the Bible, God put for us patterns that will help us in every season.
Yes.
Patterns that will tell us, warn us on how to live. So when you talk about the Issachar dimension, we are saying, how do we need to reason in this season? Because when you know what season you're in and what you ought to do, then you know how to reason in this season.
Yeah, we've arrived at that place where we need to understand in all our operations that this is the best time to be human. Creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God.
Now, do you notice in this season that statement makes sense?
Absolutely.
Because what do you need right now? You need sons of God. Why? Only sons of God can operate in compassion. Remember what we said?
Yes.
That when you talk of compassion, this is not about acts of kindness. We are past that.
Yes.
We are going to a place where we are saying, sons of God, understanding the root problem of why we have this and this and this kind of
Absolutely.
issues,
And so, as we continue in this series, as we begin to look at the fullness of what business unusual will be, listen, business unusual is no longer a new term. It is the new normal. So you'll hear this all the time. You'll hear this all the time, that business unusual. And of course for us, what do we say? Keep tracking, because this is where we discuss the new normal, what we ought to be, who we need to be, and how we need to walk out in this new landscape. Keep tracking.